there has been an increase in the number of musicians that have been brutally shot and killed in South Africa. So far, police have not made significant breakthroughs on those shooting incidents. Joining us to make some sense of this shooting is that of rapper Kenan, a.k.a. Forbes, is Professor Kholofelo Rakubu, criminologist at the Tshwane University of Technology. Professor Rakubu, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. It's not the first time we're seeing this modus operandi, so to speak, the gunning down of not only ordinary South Africans, but musicians. Is this a new trend? Is it something to take note of?
Good evening to you and to the viewers. The latest trends just suggest the violent future for our country. It is not a new pattern, and I am certain that South Africans are not shocked. This is not new. It has happened, and we are very much comfortable with not knowing what happened, who committed it, and how far are they with investigation, what is the process. We don't even get to see the perpetrators going to trial and so forth. So this tells us that come 2028, 2029, every South African will be mandated to own a gun. And now this is perpetuated by South Africa not having a clear plan to tackle matters. South Africa is not responsive, and is not responsive due to other internal multiple reasons, such as the ineffectiveness of the law enforcement in dealing with gun violence or targeted murders. Again, there is decline in police performance. There is issues of urbanization, because if you check where all these crimes takes place, obviously the target has been studied. Now we will be even afraid to tell where we are going, to post on social media and so forth, because now we become suitable targets. And in the absence of a capable guardian, obviously selection of a location was studied, and so we will always worry. One will be always worried as to, if I act, obviously someone is looking at me or following me. And this also instills fear in South African. We're losing integrity. We're gaining momentum with regard to unnecessary issues, because we've got law enforcement in South Africa with beautiful policies. However, implementation is a problem because we don't have political buy-in. I always say crime is political, and for as long as we don't have political buy-in, we are going to remain where we are and escalate. So South Africa will always be known that you can be killed at any time. As it instills fear in South Africans, other superstars, now this tells them what? Adjust. Crime has evolved in South Africa, so you need extra security more than the way you thought. Because due to socio-political landscape, your life is worth 500 rand. Because of what? There's availability of illegal firearms in South Africa, and that cannot be controlled. It cannot be controlled. There's poor investigation. There's culture of violence and so on. So people should adjust and be on par with level of criminality.
What does this now speak to around South Africa having a pandemic gun problem? I mean, what have we seen being done? I mean, I remember drives that are being done to collect illegal firearms and destroy them. Initiatives like that, does this show that they're not yielding any success at all?
We even forgot about them. They used to talk about amnesties. They still stop in searches and seizures. However, they should look into that, the identified mechanisms. Obviously, they are not working. Why? Because there's still influx of illegal firearms smuggled from neighboring country. So we don't have statistics with regard to success in that aspect, because not all guns were illegal. Remember, in South Africa, most guns are manufactured legally. However, they end up in the pool of illegal firearms due to multiple reasons. Loss and theft, which now they end up being in that pool, and the smuggling as well. Besides smuggling, the corruption and fraud in the implementation of Firearms Control Act, and that has perpetuated the level of illegal firearm access and amongst South Africans. Because if you go to townships, I'm sure today if you want to buy a gun somewhere, you are going to get it. And what I want to highlight is that communities are aware of availability of legal firearms. They are not saying anything. It is a norm until it happens to one of their own. So how do you expect law enforcement to be able to tackle issue that touches on community aspect? However, communities are not on board. So every man for himself, but we expect law enforcement to rely on us when we want to pick and choose how to assist law enforcement. So you might find that the guns that are killing all these superstars, a mother saw them, a son has a gun, and a mother is not saying anything until it happens to the son. Then they are going to be making noise. So South Africa needs to come on board. Communities need to assist law enforcement, the identification of guns and reporting of those guns. And law enforcement as well should come back to us to tell us how is it that South Africa's national plan to tackle murders is not clear, when daily approximately 30 people are killed. 30 people are killed through gun violence. So that is a pandemic. However, South Africa is not responsive as per the numbers. So we're making it a norm that, okay, it's gun violence is okay because we have history of violence. So if you are killed in that manner, assassination style, no, your line of duty suggested that, and we become comfortable and we move on, which is so wrong.
What about the dangers of social media and the manner in which criminals are tracking someone's whereabouts?
Social media platform, just like any other aspect, because remember, an offender is a rational thinker. Now, as crime evolves in South Africa, social media become a crucial tool to victimize vulnerable victims. So what we need to do, as much as South Africa, now because we know South Africa is highly violent, we should be very careful with regards to our movements. There's certain information that we are not supposed to share. We are not supposed to share. Why? Because of where we are and the magnitude of violence. You can't be staying in a violent country and be sharing current locations and be sharing your whereabouts and be sharing your registration number or where you are going or where you were or you. So we need to also come to par with how our offenders operate, because if we check the status quo, they even take advantage of load shedding. Now they know load shedding is scheduled 8 o'clock, then who to victimize, and obviously load shedding suggests vulnerability and lack of a capable guardian, because we rely on multiple devices for safety. Now, if I share location, a perpetrator can analyze exits and entrance and when to strike and possibility of getting away and not even be identified. They will even analyze CCTV cameras in that area, and we will not be left with any clue to assist when it comes to crime investigation.
And very lastly, Professor, before we let you go, what role do you think the police should be playing, and communities alike, in ensuring better safety?
There should be targeted policing. As statistics suggest, increase in particular areas that should be targeted. There should be what was introduced in 2016 by the White Paper on Safety and Security, which suggested a whole of society approach. Crime prevention is the responsibility of all important stakeholders in the community. If now, for example, municipalities don't come on board to assist law enforcement or other stakeholders in the prevention of crime, whose responsibility is it? Because remember, availability of guns talk to communities. Within communities, we've got multiple structures. We should have community safety plans, community safety forums, where now we can report availability of such and liaise with law enforcement to identify or deal away with such in our communities. Now in South Africa, we don't have those. We have those on paper. Now, policing should be targeted. What is a problem should be prioritized. And what looks like might be a problem should also receive its necessary attention.
Very well. Thank you so much. Thanks for weighing in on this discussion.